Hey guys, hope you're all well. I'm having a bit of an earlier start on the GS. It's sort of late-ish Friday afternoon. In fact, I'm not sure of the time, but yeah, it's Friday afternoon. So I thought I'd continue with the seat pan on this. I've had some ideas flowing around and I'm going to have a go at them. So I've got to do a couple of changes on it. To start with, I'm going to weld it all up, and to do that I'm just going to weld in stages, alternating where I weld it. I just don't want to go down with one big seam because good chance that's just going to go all shapes and I don't want to have to try and bash it back into shape. So we're going to do a bit of welding first, taking our time. Then underneath here we've got to do a bit of a gusset there just to add a bit of strength. And then I found this rusty old piece of metal that I've obviously used for shaping something. So I'm going to use that for shaping something on this. But you'll see that in a minute. We'll weld it up first. Also, I'm only going to weld sort of down to there because one of the ideas I'm toying around with in my head is perhaps changing the idea of that side panel that I was on about in the last GS video. We'll see. Anyway, let's weld it up first, and as usual we'll sort of make it up as we go along. Right, that's that all welded up. Like I say, I've only welded it so far down. It stops about here. I don't know if you can see that, but we'll mark it up because I'm sort of toying around with an idea at the front there. Also, we've now got to put it on the bike because it's not quite fitting right at the moment. You'll see why in a moment. I've not gone too mad on the dressing up because basically you're not going to see all this when it's covered up. So we're just doing it so we've got no sharp edges. It's going to be strong enough, and we'll just slowly chip away at the bits to hopefully make it a good looking seat. Anyway, let's try it back on the bike and you'll see what I've got to do here. So what we've got, I've tacked the other frame gusset on now, so we've got these both sides. So what's happening, these frame gussets, they sort of splay out slightly because the frame down here comes out, so they're splaying out to meet that. So at the minute it's dropping on and hitting these frame rails here. So what we've got to do is in about that area is do a bit of shaping so it drops past them rails. I'll mark this side up. Again, this shaping, you're not really going to see it when the cover's on, but it needs doing. You know, when the cover's on, you may see the shape that I'm about to do in the side a tiny bit, which will, you know, it'll look good. So it'll be going around this gusset here. Right, let's figure that out. Okay, so this rusty contraption I showed you earlier is going to come in handy for doing this. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, just about. So I'm going to tack that on there. Bear with me. I'm going to move away to tack that on there so I don't destroy my new camera. So, like I say, this is just something I've had lying about. I must have done something very similar to what I'm about to do with this. So these spurs that have just bodged onto it, they're nothing to do with this job at the minute. So yeah, that's tacked on there. So we'll get a bit of a steel block. This will do. And a tiny bit of heat. I don't need to get it so it's glowing. That might just be enough to get it on the move. But we've got a bit of belly in there now that hasn't gone out of control because that sort of kept the shape in there. And we'll do the other side. Like I say, you're not going to see it because the cover's going over it, but it will allow the pan to drop over that bit of frame. And probably the shape you will see if you was actually lying down looking up is this. So we'll make sure that's nice and neat. Right, I've got that dressed up a little bit. I've took a sliver off this to keep all this in line. I've got to do the same the other side. But first I'm going to put it on the bike, see if it all clears the frame. And then we're going to drain some up for down this end of the seat. There we go. It all sits down now and goes around the frame. I'll say we're only roughing it out at the moment, and basically you're not going to see it because that's obviously going to be all covered with the seat. It's going to come off the top of this. I'll probably have it drop in very slightly and down, and it'll start getting a bit deeper and coming up the tank. So obviously the guy who covers the seat, he'll put the foam in there and shape it all in and bring it around the sides, and it'll be all fitted under there. But I'm going to figure something out down here that hopefully will work. Right, I've got a slight interruption in the day. I'm going to turn it into a good thing, I think. So, Tracy's grandma has been stuck down south since this latest lockdown happened. Obviously, everyone had to stop moving around the country. She's due back very, very, very soon, obviously, because the things are getting relaxed a bit. But what Tracy's been doing, and her sister, have been sorting all her house out, as in the garden and everything. So there's a thing gone on with the chainsaw or whatever. So I'm going up to sort that out. Obviously she is in the car. My van's just a pain to maneuver around up her grand's house. So let's drag the KTM out and film a tiny little ride. Why not? Let's go and jump on it. This belongs on the dirt, not on the road. Definitely got to get them tyres sorted. I think the revs could do with knocking down a tiny bit as well. So they've called me up here. It's a brand new chainsaw and I think they've built it wrong. Actually looks alright to me. I've just checked it, I've just took the slack out of the chain. But we've got no petrol. I have no clue what I'm supposed to do. Anyway, at least I got a ride on the bike. Right. I don't know if that was a bit of a wasted journey. It was only the chain that was slack. I don't know. And they ain't even got petrol for it. Never mind. Anyway, while I'm here, does anybody want a van? That's Tracy's old van. Obviously she's sort of dumped it at her grandma's house. I suppose we've got to get rid of it, but the battery's flat and I can't get in it, so I've got to do some sort of... the battery's in the cab on these, and for some reason the key won't work in it, so I should probably go underneath and get some jump leads on the starter motor or something, get some power for it. But if anyone wants a van, give us a shout. What is it? I think it's 2002. No, it's an 04. Typical red Vauxhall, the red goes dull, but it's a pretty solid van actually. It is. It ain't bad. It's, tell you what, it's never ever let us down. I guess it's done a few miles, but what's it done? Just say that's probably low for a van, just over 100,000 I think. It chugs a bit of smoke, but like I say, it has never let us down. So if you know anyone wants a van, make us an offer and get it out of the way. Anyway, back on the bike, let's go back to the shed. One or two every single week. I've been thinking for quite a while. It's knocking on a bit Friday night, and I've been doing late nights all week, so I'm trying to plan sort of a sensible early-ish finish than what I've been doing all week. But anyway, as you can see, we've got that far with the seat. It's not really a dilemma where I want it to sort of match the tank. I just want to think it out and get it right, because I've probably said before, you see that many bikes where the seat does not fit the tank. You know, I get it that, you know, some people haven't got there a lot of tools to hand to make their own seats and stuff like that, so they buy the seat which is the best fit they can get, and they just make it fit the bike. So sometimes you get this gap from the seat to the tank, or a mismatch in shape and stuff like that. I try and avoid that, and I just want this to work. I want it to work right, and I've got a couple of options, but I'm trying to think about them. And what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to sort of knock it on the head today and just sit and relax for the evening. And obviously I'm going to be thinking about this job. I'm sure by tomorrow morning, hopefully, I'll be come up with a decision. As you can see, I've even had the drawing paper out. Not very often I do that. So I've done a few BMWs in the past, calf racer style, where I have bought the seat unit, and there's been sort of a mismatch from the seat unit to the tank, like I said earlier. And I made these little panels so it looked like it fitted properly. And it's sort of what I want to do with this. I've thought about just doing it so I make the seat in the shape that goes around the tank and all that. That still is a possibility, but I quite like the little panel. I'll find a picture of the BMW, see if I can find one, and I'll see if I can up my editing skills and add a picture now. Yeah, so let's have a look. As you can see, my mind's going a million miles an hour. So obviously we've got this gap here, so we've got to put a bit of a cover over these tank fittings anyway, but obviously all that's going to be hidden with the sponge and the covering of the tank, and we want it to come up to about where this line is. Then we've got to do that. Whatever I'm going to do here is all got to fit the tank. So obviously at the minute, you have to excuse my rough sketches, at the minute we've sort of got this going on. So I've thought about sort of terminating the seat in line with that tank. So we've sort of got this going on. Then I'll just make a panel, but I'll try and, I know the panel looks sort of flat there, but I'll try and add a little bit of shape to it, so it just looks a bit more interesting. If I have managed to get that picture of the BMW up that I've done, you'll see what I mean. I know it's slightly different, but it's sort of the same but different, if you know what I mean. So I think I'm possibly going to go and try and go down this route. This one here. You know, there's probably ways I could make different panels. And I'm sure you've all got your own ideas. You know, I know a lot of you watch these builds and you're probably shouting at me through the telly and saying, "Why are you doing it like that, you stupid idiot?" But that's what custom building's all about. We all come up with different ideas, and it makes all the bikes different, and it makes it all interesting. If we all copied each other, and then the custom bike world wouldn't be very interesting, would it? So I think, yeah, I think I'm going to finish for today. 100% make my mind up sort of overnight. And hopefully sort of resolve what I'm going to do by probably this time tomorrow night. I'll come up with something, but it's got to look right. It's got to fit properly. It's got to, that seat's got to go into the tank, and it's got to be fitted. So we've got no gaps like it's a seat off something completely different. I know it is that, you know, the tank, this tank shouldn't even be on the bike, but we've got to make it look like it's supposed to be on the bike along with the seat. I'll get there. Like I say, I know you're all going to start bombarding me with ideas in the comments. I get that. That's what the comments are for. I've always said that. But let's put this camera down. Anyway, as you probably know by now, I'm really stubborn when it comes to doing my own little thing. I am really stubborn, I know I am. And I'd just like to come up with my own ideas on stuff. I've said it before, it makes it your own build then. Instead of your bike being a complete mix of everybody else's ideas, it just doesn't feel like yours when you finished it. Unless that's just me that thinks like that, I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to knock it on the head today. I'm going to toy around with all these ideas in my mind through the evening, and probably wake up in the early hours of the morning and come up and start laying something out. Anyway, that's me for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Well, I'll be back on this tomorrow and hopefully come up with a plan. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys. Take care.